you ready? Are you ready for this? Cambion. Hello, everyone. I am in a weird, silly mood, and that will probably get better or worse as the night goes on, depending on your perspective. But apparently, my equipment is in a weird mood as well, as it keeps getting overheated and doing crazy stuff like shutting off. This is actually the fifth time that I've tried to record this video because it keeps doing weird things. So let's hope we can make it through this. If you hear some background noise, I apologize. It's because my computer is overheating and my camera keeps going out of focus. So maybe it's because I'm talking about Cambions and I'm getting some bad juju from that. But we're going to give this a try. All right, Cambions. Let's go. Cambions. Cambions, not something I can take credit for. They existed before I came around. There are Cambions that are out there. I was going to say mainstream, but they're really not mainstream, I don't think. They have made it into television shows. So those familiar with Supernatural, there was Cambion in an episode of Supernatural. Hellboy, Cambion. Merlin, Cambion. Those familiar with Raven from the DC comic, she's a Cambion too. So there are Cambions that are out there in the ether, being written about and, seen on TV. Not something I created, but something I kind of like the whole concept of it. So there are two different types of Cambions. The first one I really discovered when I was researching William of Ovnier. This is why I need French friends, because they will shake their head and look at me and go, Jen, that is not how you say that. It's a town in France or a city in France, and I know I apologize. I've completely butchered the name. My apologies for that. But he wrote De Universal, and in De Universal, Cambions are demons that replace human infant babies. But the fact that they replace human babies reminds me of something. Something that was in What's a Fae, like a changeling? Imagine that. Kind of interesting fact that I've picked up on. The What's Of that I have done have been connected. Each one has been connected by a different string. Completely accidental. And that kind of makes it cool because there's like this thread that links this one to that one and then links that one to this one. So in completely different ways. So there's that. So these Cambions, changelings. The second type of Cambion is in the Malleus Maleficarum, which translates to Hammer of the Witch. And although they never actually come out and say, this is a Cambion, that's what it is. It's a Cambion. So a Cambion is half demon, half human. So why mix? Why go even bother with that human half? Well, it's believed that in order to create life, you need to have a soul. And demons, by their very nature, do not have a soul. So if they want to procreate, they need to engage humans. So in order to do this, you need one succubus and one incubus. The succubus has relations with a human male, transfers the sperm to an incubus, who then has relations with a human female. 9 months later, you have yourself a Cambion. So, Cambions are in D&D. My favorite book. Not my favorite book, but, game that I played. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. So back in the witch time, or the Hammer of the Witch time, Cambions were grotesque, they were deformed. As you get to contemporary, when your Cambions are born, they look just like human babies. The only difference is that they don't have breath, they don't have pulse, they don't have a heartbeat. Other than that, they look just like a human child. And in fact, they're considered to be extremely attractive. That's one of the traits of a Cambion, is someone who is otherworldly beautiful. They have abilities. So these Cambions have the ability, they're very strong with persuasion. They can get people to do whatever they want. They have superhuman strength, superhuman speed. Some of them have telekinesis. They do have, obviously, a weakness, which oddly enough is very familiar or in line with vampires. So during day, Cambions are weaker, and they say at the highest point, when the sun is at the highest point in the sky, usually around noon, is when your Cambions really lose most of their ability. Very much like vampires, but not so much in the sense that the sun doesn't actually harm them or make them glitter. How do Cambions relate to my universe? Well, in my universe, we definitely are more of a type 2 Cambion. So there is the need to have a succubus and an incubus in theory. And I say in theory because rules are meant to be broken, but I won't go further into that because I don't want to give away any spoilers. This is not a spoiler video. Not a spoiler video. So, in my world, Cambions usually have a demon guardian. So, think Omen and Damien's nanny. There's someone there to kind of guide that Cambion along the path. Once their powers start to manifest, that they will manifest in favor of evil and hopefully join their demon parentage. Speaking of powers, so in my universe, Cambions have different types of powers. That all depends on their parent. The choir that their parent is from will give that Cambion their power. So some of them have the ability to influence people or control people's minds. Some of them have telekinesis. Some of them can teleport, astral walk. It depends on where they're getting their powers from. The thing about it is, because Cambions do have that one human parent, they're not innately bad. So even as they're using their powers, it's possible that a Cambion is using their powers for good and trying to make the world a better place. The problem is that the more they use their powers, the stronger it becomes, and the more attractive they are to demons. So you then have demons coming in that are trying to influence this Cambion, and just by the very fact of that there's demons around it, there are bad things that are happening. So people kind of tend to blame it on the Cambion, when in fact it's very much like witchcraft, where, at least in my world, where it's not, you don't have good and bad. There's not good and evil witchcraft. There's just how that person uses it. So, Cambion riders, how does that work? So, pretty much the same as a regular Cambion. It's just that instead of having that human parent, you now have that rider parent, which is very interesting because demon and dragons make the Hatfields and the McCoys look like they're just having a little family dispute and it's not a big deal and they'll be having a picnic in no time. They hate each other. So by connection to dragons, riders should hate demons as well. So how do you get a Cambion rider? The plot thickens. But therein is where I'm going to stop this, because I don't want to get into spoilers, and I get into Cambions are discussed in After the Flesh pretty heavily. They're touched upon in Burn, my second novel, and there's really some reveals that happen in Came Back Haunted, which is the third novel that I am feverishly working on, and I don't want to give anything away. So here's where I draw the line, stopping this one for Cambions. Next video, we'll get into riders. Now, riders are very much my own creation. Dragon riders are my own creation. There are pieces of them that come from other lore. So while a good part of dragon riders is my own creation and my own imagination, there are 3 aspects of it that are actually from different lores. So there's the Thunderbirds, Kali, and Baron Sambidi. Love the Baron. So next time, I am probably going to do Thunderbirds or Kali. I'm leaving the Baron for last because he's the Baron. He deserves to be last, best for last. In the meantime, If you would like to learn more about Cambions, please, 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 I encourage you to pick up a copy, whether that's physical copy or digital copy, of After the Flesh, the first of the Cambion Writer Chronicle novel. If you don't want to make that 300 plus page commitment, which is completely understandable, time is the only commodity that we are unable to recoup. So instead, you can go to my website, fannypricenovels.net. That's Fanny with an IE, and you can either pick up a sample chapters of After the Flesh, or you can learn how to pick up a copy of Sirens, which is my first short story in the Cambion Writer Chronicles. And technically, as far as numerical order, the events that happen in Siren happen before After the Flesh. But it's a way to get familiar with the universe, get familiar with a couple of the characters, and you can dip your toe and see if this is something that you like. So, until then, or until the next video, Thunderbird or Kali, we'll see. But thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and until next time, bye.